My name is Georgia Quinn. I'm the CEO and co-founder of iDisclose, a legal technology company. Today I am really excited to share with you a new product that we are launching. It's an online application to assist in the preparation of the Form C. So we're going to talk about Title III crowdfunding today. And as you may or may not know, in order to conduct a Title III crowdfunding raise, you're required to prepare a document called the Form C, which must be completed and filed with the SEC 21 days prior to receiving investor funds. The document is not as lengthy as a full-blown registration statement, but it's really not for the faint of heart either. It basically condenses a 686-page adopting release by the SEC into a disclosure format. So there is light at the end of the tunnel, folks. Rather than going to an attorney and paying for that document to be prepared from scratch, we are introducing today a legal technology very similar to TurboTax to allow you to prepare these documents yourself. So an issuer will be able to access the application either via an online portal called the funding portal, or through our just through our website, where they'll be able to pay for the application with a credit card and move through. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into the application to show you how it works. What I'd like to do is, after I give you a brief demo of some of the features, I'd like to take questions that you may have about the application and how it could be applied to Title III crowdfunding. All right, so perfect. Here you can see the dashboard. I have access to my in-process document and my red flag report. I'll show you what that red flag report is in a moment. But right now, let's jump right in to the application. So when I log in, I initially see a welcome screen. What this screen does is list all of the documents and information I need to prepare before I get started. We do this because we want to help the user know what to expect. We don't want you to get halfway through and then realize you don't have the information you need, like your management bios or something, and then you can't complete the document. Remember, this is only going to be as good as the amount of effort and energy that the user puts into it. So if you do a crappy job completing the questionnaire, your document's going to be pretty crappy. So my job has been to really help streamline the process and educate users as they go through so that they can do the best job possible. Another way that we really help is anytime we use legal or financial terms, we use hover text so that you understand exactly what it is that we're asking for. We also have help text on every page to help push that user through the application. I want to now show you some of the adaptive capabilities of the application. So remember, this is not a template. This is not simply going through and filling out blanks in a questionnaire. Based on the responses that are provided, the application is going to actually generate different questions. So for instance, the application works for both operating companies and real estate deals. Here, because I have selected that I'm an operating company, you can look on the left-hand side and note that all of these are disclosure issues related to operating companies, such as suppliers and customers. Now, I want you to watch that left-hand panel when I select that I'm a real estate deal, because that's going to change. And now you can see that the questions that I'm going to be prompted to answer are specific to real estate deals. I'm actually going to go back now and change it to an operating company to show you a few more features. So as I mentioned, we're really trying to assist in the fulsome and best completion of this application. Another way we do that is by providing what we call tab text. So anytime we ask for a response that's more expository in nature and not just a simple phrase or numeric value, we provide sample answers on these tabs. And these are determined by the life cycle of the company or the industry that the company may operate in. I can select the one that's most applicable to my business and then modify it to make it tailored to what I'm doing. And even if you don't end up using the tab text, you now have an example of 5 really well-drafted answers, so you at least know where to start. Another point I want to make is on certain questions where you might have backup documentation that would support the statements that you're making, we ask you to upload that information. We then take those documents and organize them into a zip file that corresponds to the section of the Form C that contains that information. And that's going to help the reviewing attorney when they're doing that final attorney review of the document before you file it with the SEC. They'll be able to have that backup documentation side by side with the document, so they're not searching around, calling the issuer, emailing back and forth for documents. It'll all be at their fingertips. So one of our the crown jewel really of our features in the application is the risk factor section. So for those of you that are familiar with SEC filings, the risk factor section of a disclosure document is really what you could consider the insurance policy. The SEC has provided guidance that to the extent you provide a fulsome and tailored set of risk factors, if those events occur, the issuer cannot be held liable because they adequately warned investors of the potential of that event occurring. The caveat to that is that they can't just be generic and boilerplate, they actually have to be tailored to the business. And so we help you do that. First of all, any risks that are related to the type of securities that are being offered. So if you're issuing common stock, that's going to have a very different risk profile than if you're issuing convertible notes. So all of the risks related to that particular security type, we bake in automatically. You'll find those in your document without even having to click a button. However, risks that are related to your particular business, we feel that only the entrepreneur knows those. And so we put the onus on that entrepreneur in a very easy to use way by simply answering a set of yes or no questions. And of course, based on the way they respond, it will generate new questions. But they simply go through, answer yes or no questions, drilling down to specific disclosure issues, and then select the industry that they operate in, because obviously different industries are going to have different risk profiles. You can select as many as are applicable to your business, and then you'll see we generate a pre-populated set of risks. But of course, the job doesn't stop here. You still have to go in and tailor them to your specific business. You can see there's some bracketed text, highlighting areas where you need to provide input. To the extent that any of these don't apply to your business, you simply delete them. And now that you even know what a risk factor is, you can add in any additional ones that you've thought of that, because of your expertise in operating your business, really only you know. Now, once you have your complete set of risks, you can drag and drop them into the order of importance, because the SEC likes to see these in order of importance by materiality or likelihood of occurrence. So now that you have your completed document, I'm going to show you what the finished product looks like. So here on your dashboard, this is one that I've completed. You'll see we've zipped everything in this file. So now you can see in my file, I have my meta folders that have all of the documents that I've uploaded that relate to these particular sections of the Form C. So basic information, business, capitalization and securities, all of those supporting documents live in those folders to make it easy for the lawyer doing the final review. Once you complete the application, we send this zip file to your attorney to conduct that final review. If you don't have an attorney, we have a team of licensed securities professionals that will complete the review process at a very low fixed fee for you. And we can talk about pricing in a bit, but I think you'll see that it's very reasonable. So now let's take a look at what the Form C looks like. For those of you that are familiar with the Title III regulations, you'll see that it looks like an SEC document. You'll note that we have a legend at the top. We put this at the top of every page to remind you that you need to have that attorney do the final review. We envision the attorney actually removing that legend before filing with the SEC. So here, you can just see, the reason I'm showing you the document is really just to show you how fulsome and compliant it is. What I'm excited to show you is our red flag report. So this is generated simultaneously with the document, and you can access this at any time while you're preparing your document. What shows up here are things that the application catches along the way. So discrepancies in the responses that you've provided, legal issues that arise based on your responses. We break these things down into 3 levels. Level 1 are things that you need to be aware of. So they're not deal breakers, but they're things that we want to highlight for your attorney and we want to highlight for you. So one example here is that you've indicated the company conducts business under names other than its legal name. Again, this isn't a deal breaker, but you just need to make sure that you've filed the proper licenses and registrations and DBAs in the jurisdictions where you do business. So we're just highlighting this for the lawyer to make sure that they're dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Level 2 are things that actually will require a little bit of action or diligence on the part of that reviewing attorney. So in this case, one example is you've indicated that the company's engaged in a related party transaction. So this is a hot button issue for the SEC. It's not a deal breaker, but it does require appropriate disclosure. When we uncover a related party transaction, we put a risk factor in the Form C. We put disclosure about it in the related party transaction section of the Form C, and then we add it to this list if it's equal to 5% or more of the amount of money being raised, because we feel that that's non-de minimis and we want to raise this red flag. Also, we catch what we call hot words. So anytime the issuer uses words like number 1, leading, the best, we catch those words because, again, it's not that you can't use those words to describe your business, it's just that you need to be able to adequately back up that with third-party, documentation. And so we catch those words and we put them on this list here, you'll see, to remind you that you need to be able to support the claims you're making. So now we get to level 3, and level 3 is a deal breaker. So if you have anything on this list, you'll make sure that you take care of it before you go to market with your deal. An example here is you've indicated that the company does business in states or countries where it is not qualified to do business. So, that oftentimes is just a simple filing with that state, but regardless, you need to make sure you take care of those issues before you go to market. Another example here is that you've indicated that the use of proceeds doesn't add up to 100% of the offering amount. Again, this could have just been a mathematical error when you were completing the application, but regardless, you need to make sure that you tell investors what you're doing with 100% of their money. So let me just show you a few other items that we prepare. We also prepare a subscription agreement for you. This is the document that's actually executed by the investor when they sign up to invest in your company. And we prepare a signature page. At this stage, we are allowing the platforms that we work with to use DocuSign to easily execute this document before it's filed with the SEC. So now I'm going to just take you back to the application, and we can open it up for any questions, but just briefly I want to kind of talk about the process. So the way we're envisioning the process working, and remember I'm saying envisioning because we all know that the rule is not in effect until May 16th of this year, but the way we envision it working is the issuer, the user, will go online, they'll complete the application. We will receive their attorney information or provide them with an attorney. Once they've completed the application, we will route the zip file with all the necessary supporting documentation to the attorney. The attorney does their quick review and uploads the final document to iDisclose. iDisclose has an API to automatically file the documents with the SEC once the issuer has signed off and clicks File Now. So it's really an end-to-end solution for that issuer to comply with the SEC requirements of Form C. All right, so now I'd love to open it up. We actually have 5 whole minutes for questions, and also if there are other elements of the application that you'd like to see. Yes?
That's terrific. How do you deal with the disclosure requirement on valuation that's in Title 3?
Sure, so let me just take you right in. And I will show you where we address that. And you're absolutely right, valuation is a very important element. So here for pricing, you can see we have questions related to how this price was determined. Was the price determined arbitrarily? No. How was the price determined? And you can see again, we have our tab text here to help that issuer understand, what it is we're asking for They can add as many of these as are applicable. But this, explains how we don't obviously do the valuation for them. We expect that to have been done. We expect you to know what you're pricing your securities at by the time you're at this stage ready to complete your Form C. But we certainly can help you prepare the adequate disclosure for it. Next, sure.
Do you have templates for Reg A filings?
So that's a great question. At this time, we don't currently prepare the Form 1A. We do have a document generator for the PPM, a private placement memoranda, and what a lot of people are doing is utilizing that tool to prepare a PPM and then converting it to a Form 1A. We're actually working on that. It's in development now. We're hoping to have a Form 1A tool by the end of this year, but at this moment, we're 100% focused on the Form C. Yes?
Is the sources and uses of funds document flexible? In other words, can you add lines?
Yeah, that's great. Let me show you our use of proceeds. So here, for our use of proceeds, and we ask for what you're doing with the minimum amount. And you can see here we've calculated for them your minimum amount, and we put this on this page to remind them as they're completing this. So we give them examples of what they might be utilizing the funds for, but in addition, they can add in as many other uses that they have. And then, and in here we also have, of course, the accountant, auditor fees, attorney fees, so that the investor actually can see exactly where all of the funds are going. Yes?
For Title III, is it every issuer has to do a Form C?
Yes, so,
If I do real estate,
pardon?
if I do real estate crowdfunding, and
Yes.
let's say every single property has a single fund, single issue.
Yes, so it depends on how you're structuring your deals, but yes, for each deal you do, each different investment vehicle that you create, you will have to file a Form C. And just, I'd like to point out, don't forget, when you're doing real estate under Title III, you're not allowed to form a special purpose vehicle, so that the investment vehicle that you create is going to have to hold title to the property.
Can the portal help the issuer do this form?
So that's a really good question, because there is a fine line about how far a pure funding portal, now not a broker dealer, but a pure funding portal can go in the assistance of the structuring of a deal, and that's kind of why one of the reasons for providing iDisclose is that it helps keep that level of separation between the platform and the issuer, because they're providing software. And also it's third-party software. And so it's still maintaining that level of separation. Okay, so I think that's all the time we have, and I really appreciate you guys coming out today. And of course, I'll be available for the rest of the afternoon if you have any further questions or want to see more.